Here we are back playing with Minutia. What you see here is the pedal assembly from that same 72 Super Beetle. Yesterday I actually went through it, wire brushing, cleaning, making sure all the little bits that I could get to are was just covered in rust, a lot like this back pieces now. And you know, you can buy these things and replace them, but honestly, working with the original, seeing the aluminum that used to be corroded and is now looking good. Eventually this is just going to get, I'll clean it up with some denatured alcohol and then turn around and use some good undercoat rust inhibitor. Get it sealed up good so that it can be painted and made to look good and sit back in there and not rot again. This thing, you can see there's some damage to the casting where it was just corroding as all heck, but now all that's been cleaned up. It looks pretty good, but it's all going to get a good coating so that it stays and preserves forever. The next piece is looking at the backing plates. Obviously two of them. This is the side that faces the engine. This is the side that faces inside. And because of this piece here is where the emergency brake cable comes in, you can see that's actually where, this is the driver's side one. And as you can see, the adjusters are just slammed and jammed in there. So I'm going to have to find a way to pry those out before I even start to clean this up. Hopefully those will come out. Otherwise, if they don't, I'll go from cleaning up the originals to having to buy replacements. Not my idea of fun. So I'll figure it out and we'll come back in a little bit. Here we're looking at it now. These were just sitting in there, but the adjustment screws are just completely bonded into the spinning wheels, which I figured that. I bought replacement pieces for all that. But what I found was that these holes look pretty good. Obviously you're going to need some rust cleaning, some work. Polish them back up a little bit and make sure they're well lubed. But that means at least the driver's side plate can get cleaned up. I'm going to attack it with my handy dandy drill with a nice fiber brush. That actually does a great job of taking all the rust off in the main big areas without chewing into the metal. And then I'll use this little item I got from Harbor Freight. It's a tiny little Dremel sized air tool, and you just use things like tiny little brass brushes. I've got a few of those. I have to order a bunch more because I've got a whole car to do. But all in all, between the two of those, I'm actually able to clean things up really well. Did a great job on the brake pedals. But obviously just a little more to do. But all in all, I'm going to get to keep a lot of these rusty old parts, clean them up, prime them, seal them, paint them, and keep running them in the car. Won't bore you with all the grinding and sanding because that just sucks and it's noise. So I'll show you some results in a little bit. I've been running it on a little bit. You can see where the machine pieces of the metal, the contact points where the assembly all went in, has cleaned up very well. A little bit of inconsistencies. I've got that smaller brush kit. I'll get into there for that. You'll see there's still a lot of pitting and everything, but that's just the nature of rusted metal. Areas I still can't get into, but a lot of the main rust has come off. Again, these pieces are going to get undercoated. They're going to get cleaned up. I'll be very careful in the areas where things screw in particular for mounting the wheel cylinders. I'll clean this up real good. All this stuff will get taped off before anything gets painted. That way I don't have to deal with any surface issues. It's just metal to metal. But the rest of this will cover up, and that's just the character of having a 1972 rusted original part that you fix up. You see the back hasn't been touched. It's still disgusting. Inside's getting better. It's all coated in a fine layer of rust powder. It's great for your lungs too, by the way. You should try it. But that's how it's going to work out. I haven't started playing on the insides of anything, but I haven't got the little tool out. You can see there'll need to be a little dinging over here. Heat up, pound with a hammer a little bit, just enough to straighten some of these places where it looks like it's been pried on through the years. One there, get it a little more round, and it'll be ready for assembly. As you can see, a lot cleaner, a little nicer. I had to get more aggressive on the upper part where the wheel cylinder goes in. The rust was going to impede how it sat. You can see I've got these surfaces that have got to sit fairly flush. And this area here felt bulged so that I was getting some rocking. Now with a little bit of sanding using this little belt sander guy here, I was able to flatten that metal down enough to feel like I'm going to get a good surface when it comes time to put that new wheel cylinder in. Got a little digging to do in those holes, make sure everything's clear there, but you can see the wheel cylinder will sit in there nicely, fit perfect screw hole. I've already got the fitting in. I'll have all the brake mounting pieces. I got those holes cleared. Let me move the strap. Those holes cleared out pretty well using this little wand with what was once a end pointing brush. You can see it mangled it up nicely, but it also would spin inside that hole and do a lot of cleaning up. The surface actually feels very good to the finger. I think a little more Scotch-Briting, and the new pieces will sit in there nicely with some lube. More of the fiber brush, more of the cleaning up. I think I'm going to get some little steel brushes to go with this kit that might actually help with a little more of the pitting and everything like that. But overall, I like the brass ones because they won't damage these metal surfaces. It will still knock a lot of the rust off. And this thing definitely needs cleaning. You can see just touching it what happens to my hands. But get it cleaned up, get some nice solution on it, and it'll be better. Now I'll just tackle this side. And a little while later, you can see it cleaned up well. Did find that some of the original coating on these things is actually still present. Some of it's more of a glop, but you can see some of that in there. Most of the rest of it's gone, eaten by rust, but the metal mating surfaces still look good. Screw holes look good. This little opening here is a little butchered, but you know, this thing has dual adjusters on it. So my guess is somebody just got a little crazy on that. Got a welder. I might do some cleanup and see about adding some metal back in just to get it rounded back out, because the plugs that fit there do in fact match that hole, not this hole. But other than that, plate looks good. Don't see any cracks, don't see any items of concern short of a butchered hole right there. Not bad for 30-40 minutes work. Still going to keep it just nice and preserved. Coat it, make sure that the rust doesn't progress, gets sealed up nice, and gets undercoated on the back and goes back in the car. If you watch this, thank you. Yeah, I'll have more to come. While I was busy working on stuff, I had a few things on this particular one I needed to fix. First, I found that the passenger side still had the nut in place, and this one was not. So I dug it out, cleaned it up, and did a little welding just to tack it in. It should hold fine. I kind of did a little on each of the 6 sides. My welding sucks, but it'll do. And then I went back to that more, I don't know what kind of shape it was, but I went and used the welder, and I just did the Ian Roussel technique of you just tack a little in the spot, move your way around, make the hole smaller until you think you've got it all around, and you go back and clean it up. I've done some grinding on the inside, did some grinding on the outside, and then I used my nice little metal rasp here to rework that hole. An approximate size, let me find one of these, is the adjuster screws. It just barely fits into there, and it just barely fits into there. So I think overall I've got a decent sized hole rebuilt there. It's certainly more round. I can't find those stupid rubber caps, but when I find them, I've got the inspection covers to go there. It'll just simply clip in place. Everything will look good. It'll all be cleaned up. So 2 brake backing plates preserved. Not bad for a rank amateur.